hours. So we appreciate all your effort you put into that. And I wanted to give just a little information about our Fidelity Agent app. So if you guys are not using that, you need to be using it. It's amazing for calculators, for net sheets, for buyers and for sellers. But there's an amazing multiple offer feature in there. So I know that we're all dealing with that. And I've heard of agents making these incredible spreadsheets, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's all right there. It's on your phone. It's the easiest app. You just put in the home information, and then just click on add offer, and makes it really nice and professional looking for you. So make your life easier. So with that, I'm gonna let Walt take it away.
Perfect. And then I'll let you work on anybody else that is having a hard time getting in. Looks like Nancy has a question. Nancy, if you want to just pop in the chat, whatever your question may be, if you haven't already done that. So you have your hand raised. Anyway, wanted to thank everybody for coming. Tracy, thank you for hosting our event. We made a decision several years ago as a team to switch more to education, and really trying to help educate everybody, in a lot of different formats. And of course, we've been doing this class now. Oh, how long have we been doing these, Tracy? Several years now.
Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years. Well, we were doing it in person for 3 or 4 years. So yeah, a long time.
It's been 3-4 years that we've been doing historically lunch and learns on a consistent basis. And when COVID hit, we of course pivoted real quick, and Tracy and I huddled up and said, all right, we need to push content out, content that can help everybody, and we need to do it electronically. So hence we are here electronically. So thanks for coming, everybody. And we know that more and more are coming in. So we're just going to start rock and rolling here and moving forward. I do want to acknowledge my team here. And so I've got Susan, one of our team loan officers. So she specializes in the Hispanic market. Susan Dunphy, many of you know her. She is on the call here, and she will answer a lot of questions as we go forward and whatnot. Because you'll not be able to see the chat feature a lot. So anyway, thanks for coming, and let's rock and roll. So let me share my screen with you. All right, so you should see that, right, Tracy?
Yes, we see it.
Perfect. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how to solve the inventory crisis and get more listings. Of course, in today's market, it's all about listings, and how can we get those listings. And so I do have something that I'm going to share at the very end that I think is truly a game changer. And we'll talk more about that, but we're going to start to build the case between now and then. So today we're going to cover how to effectively prospect for listings in today's market. I think there's a little different way that we do that. How to follow up with leads and market yourself as the expert. We're going to give you content to be able to do that. The elements that make up the perfect listing presentation. And then how do we get homeowners to list today instead of waiting until the spring? So Realtor.com, they came out and they said, since the beginning of COVID, the COVID pandemic in March, nearly 400,000 fewer homes have been listed compared to last year, leaving a gaping hole in the U.S. housing inventory. As a result, home prices are accelerating at double last year's pace. That's not anything new to us. What I'm finding is that things that we know out in the general public, they don't know that. And so, as I'm talking to clients that are looking at, the famous one right now is we'll have clients that have made offers on a few different houses, 3 houses, and they're saying, you know what, there's just so many offers on the houses, maybe we're going to wait. I then talk to them about how real estate is, and really that it's a supply and demand issue. It's nothing more than that. And right now we have a lot of demand and not as much supply. So I'll go over a lot of this information with them. And I can send out my slide deck as well to you guys, so you guys have all these. But it's important for our clients to know, specifically the ones that are getting ready to sell, that there are 400,000 fewer homes that have been listed on the market this year compared to last year. We talk about inventory, we talk about equity, and then of course, making you the experts, making sure that they understand that you're the expert in this field. So as we're looking at inventory, again, another comment that I have that I get a lot of times is, are we in a bubble? And so is this another 2008 market? And 2008, again, we know, and I'm talking to people that, you guys all know these things, but sharing them with our clients in an organized fashion really helps our clients to understand. And so 2008 happened for a lot of different reasons. 2008 happened because of loose guidelines and lending, the economic crisis, the depression that we were really facing at that time. There were a lot of different factors that really fed into 2008. One thing that many people aren't touching base is it was really driven, and this may sound a little strange, but I believe that 2008 was partly driven because abortion became illegal in 1973. So walk with me on this for just a short period of time. So abortion became legal in 1990 or in 1973, Roe versus Wade. At that time, we had less people being born. And this is obviously a controversial thing. So, but the reality is that Zillow's done a study, and they've done a pretty extensive study, and they found that most homeowners, the average first-time home buyer is 33 years old. So if you go back to the numbers, in 1975, we had people that would be 33 years old hitting that market in 2008, 2006, really starting in 2006, because that's really when 2008 started. And again, remember that markets are regional. So in 2006, I was actually in Maryland at the time. So I had a mortgage practice in Maryland. And we started to see the downturn there. I know that here in Oregon, it was a complete different thing. I know that here in Oregon, you guys were going gangbusters in 2006 and 7, and then really you felt it in 2008. But in 2006, we started to feel it. And that's really when most first-time home buyers, the 33-year-old home buyers, we had less of them at that time. And you'll see how the graph kind of goes down, and we have a little bit of a downturn in this graph at that time for most first-time home buyers 33 years old. You'll notice that in today's market right now, we have more 33-year-olds hitting the market for the next 6 years, which is significant. It truly is significant. This means truly that for the next 5-6 years, we have more 33-year-olds hitting that market, more first-time home buyers hitting the market than we ever have. And as we have those first-time home buyers, they're going to need places to purchase, which right now we don't have the supply. So that really shows that if you follow what Zillow is saying, which is the average first-time home buyer is 33 years old, then with that means that this graph shows we're going to have more people hitting that market. Hence, the tightening up, the inventory issues are going to continue. And they really are going to continue for the next 5-6 years. And with that, we really have a great opportunity here to be able to help a lot of people purchase homes. We found that with those 33-year-olds, a lot of them, and the reason why it's 33 years old is because most people are waiting longer to get married. That's not to say that single people don't buy houses either, but more people are waiting longer to get married. And the thing that's driving specifically the 33-year-olds is that 80% of people between the ages of 30 and 39, 80% of them, if they have a child, purchase a home. So that's really our market. And that happens to be the magic number of 33. The other thing is that as you look at really this number, at least one person or at least one child, people between 30 and 39 years of old are purchasing a home. 80% of them are purchasing a home. You also see the baby registry as it's been increasing up since 2004. The Google searches for baby names have increased dramatically over that period of time. Again, and so with this, I think that it really starts back with the first-time home buyers, 33 years of old. And then secondly, the other thing is that what happened in 2008 really happened because, again, supply and demand. We had a ton of supply hit the market at that time, which as more supply hits the market, values start to fall, which is what happened. Guidelines were tightened up significantly. Guidelines haven't loosened up since 2008 a great deal. We're starting to see bank statement loans again. And so where you have 12 months worth of bank statements, you add up all the deposits, times it by 75% because there's self-employed borrowers, and we know that 25% at least is going to go to expenses in that. And so, and then we take that income and divide it by 12 months, and that's the income that we're able to use. We're starting to see those loans starting to come back into the market. Right now, the interest rates are ridiculously high. They're about 7%. So, but we're starting to see them come back into the market. That means that the market was pre-COVID starting to loosen up a little bit. When COVID hit, the market seized back up again. We went from a 580 score to a 640 score on pretty much all loans across the board. And that's been starting to loosen up as well. We're back down to 620, and I'm seeing some lenders go back down to 580. So things are starting to loosen up back up again pre-COVID, but nowhere near where we were in 2008. So again, there's a lot of statistical data that we can show you and that I can send you. The other thing is that when you look at builder starts and builders building homes back in 2008, they were building a lot more homes compared to the demand at that time, where now they can't keep up. And they can't keep up for a lot of different reasons. But again, looking at real estate is a geographical thing. Here in the Willamette Valley, due to the fires, we've got 300 new people that need to build homes, right? So building costs are going to go up because of that. Building timeframes are going to take longer. So there's a lot of things that hit our region and hit our areas on why 2008 was so different than today's market. The other thing is that in 2008, most homeowners didn't have equity. They didn't really have hardly any equity. And when you take the decrease in values at that time that happened, and the fact that they didn't have equity, many borrowers just decided, you know what, I'm just going to walk away from my house, not looking at the long-term gains and realizing that the value will come back, or maybe they lost their job and they just had to walk away, unfortunately. So again, there's the markets are completely different from 2008 now. So just absolutely completely different. In fact, to the point of John Burns Consulting, they did a study and they found that the average or the percentage of homeownership equity, and so, well, let me state this a little bit differently. 42.1% of homeowners in today's market have 100% equity in their house. So they have their house paid off, 42.1%. 16.6%, they've got between 60 to 99% equity. 12.5% have between 41 and 60. and then 15.4% have between 20 and 40% equity. So that's a lot of equity to be able to have. The other thing is that the reality is, back in 2008, with people not having equity in their homes, you know, they had to walk away from their houses if they were in a position of not being able to make their mortgage payment or something like that. They had to literally walk away. In today's market, with this much equity that clients have, that homeowners have, they're not going to walk away. They're just going to sell, and then they'll take the cash and they'll go do something else with it for the time being, until they can purchase, or they're going to go purchase another house. So again, completely different markets, and that's where being the expert in your field, sharing these things with your clients, is going to make the difference. So really, projections for home prices here for the future as well. This was the projections at the start of the year. Zelman was looking at about a 5.9 projection, 5.9% increase of home prices, so appreciation. Fannie Mae was thinking 4.4, National Association of Realtors was 4.3, Zillow 3.6. Since then, these numbers now have been changed again. CoreLogic was only looking at really 0.6% appreciation across the nation. They have now changed their projections to over 6% across the nation. And even Haas, they were looking at a negative 1.1%. So they were not very positive on the housing economy. The reality is the housing economy is robust, and it's going to continue to be robust. So sharing these things with your clients, again, helps them understand that you are the expert, and starts to create the information that client really needs. So I believe this was a chief economist with Zillow that said this, but it's a chief economist that had said this, and I've pulled a bunch of information in this. So they said, as homeowners gain equity in their homes, they are more likely to consider using that equity to purchase a larger or more attractive home. The wealth effect of rising equity. So that's really what it is. In today's housing market, fast rising demand against the limited supply of homes for the sale has resulted in continued house price appreciation. Again, nothing that we don't know, but these are things that we can share with our clients to help them understand what type of market we're in. This was just Q2 in 2020. And in Q2, the average home went up by $9,000 in Oregon. For the United States, the average home appreciation for Q2 was $9,800. So again, properties are geographical, but anytime that we're getting these huge appreciations, clients start to look at things a little bit differently. One thing that we found in our research is that more people are starting to move out of the urban areas. Now, we'll say that that Salem urban is a little bit different than maybe Portland urban or Chicago urban. I'm on CNBC once a month, and one of my another loan officer that's on there, he had interviewed a realtor in Chicago, and finding that more people are moving out of Chicago, moving into the suburbs, which is exactly the case. So we're finding more people are going to the suburban areas. And one thing that we're seeing a ton of, and I know you guys are seeing a ton of, is a lot of people are wanting to get out of the city, even Salem, and move to rural areas, so the county, due to property taxes and due to a lot of different reasons. They're just tired of being on top of each other. And then also we're finding that pre-pandemic expectation was that vacation homes were actually going to decrease last year, but we found that they actually increased. So the amount of equity that people are having, they're looking at potentially refinancing, taking that equity, and then going and purchasing a second home. Or it could be, a second home if they live in Chicago or New York or Boston or some places like that. Maybe they're buying a second home in those rural or suburban areas. So Steve Murray from Real Estate Trends, he said, we have a housing sales boom fueled by the delay in the normal spring market and record low interest rates, as well as additional demand coming from those who are either buying second homes in the suburbs or countryside, or permanently relocating away from urban and core communities. So again, just what I had talked about. So as we transition here, we're going to transition into how to follow up with leads and market yourself as the expert. And, you know, one thing, sorry about that. Everything decided to freeze up. So again, technology is awesome. So here we go. So Donald Miller wrote a great book, and it's called Building a Story Brand. And one thing that he shared in that is that people do not follow the best leaders. They follow the ones they can understand the easiest. So I think that's huge in understanding. Again, let me just read that because I think it's a very powerful quote. People do not follow the best leaders. They follow the ones they can understand the easiest. Now, with that, you know, we've had more and more people starting to turn to social media. There's several different things with social media that I want to bring up, and that is first, when you're referred from somebody, understand that referral that you're referred to almost immediately goes and searches you on Facebook. So we'd like to think that's not the case, but that's the reality. I'm sorry, they're going to search you on Google. And so they're going to look at YouTube, they're going to look at Facebook, they're going to look at all those different sites to see if you're out there and what you've said and what you've done. Remember that when things are commented on Facebook, they never really go away. So be very cognizant of what you're saying on Facebook. Be very cognizant of what you're posting out there. I've seen several things. No realtors that are on this call here. So, but even during the pandemic here, I've seen some things of lenders and realtors posting parties that they're at and everything, and they've got quite a backlash on those things because we weren't supposed to be having those parties. People they're judging. They're always judging. They're always looking at what we're doing, what we're posting. So just be very careful with that. But that also means on the second side is start to use video more. Start to use social media more in the things that you're doing. Get more information out there. One thing that one of my drives this year, I really have 4 major definitive drives for this year that we're trying to do within our practice. But one of them is to be relevant on social media. So if you're one of my friends on social media, you've seen a lot more information coming on just various different things on social media. You've seen videos coming. Now, I got to tell you, I'm right in the mix with everybody else on the fact that I hate video. I hate doing Zoom, and that because it's video, and I can't see you guys, on this type of format. But video, I'm talking to a camera, and the reality is that that's the new normal for us. That's what we need to start getting comfortable talking to the camera and not being answered back. And so, but we need to start creating those videos, those little tidbits of things that we can post online. And really this year, you can go out and check out the Schultz team, which is SCHULZ. So the Schultz team on YouTube. And we've been posting a ton of video content out there. And it's just things like, what's my interest rate? What can I expect the day of signing? A big one here is a change in Fed funds rate does not equal a change in mortgage rate. So what does that mean? How to secure funds to close, or how to source funds to close. We have financing tips on there. We've built out our YouTube channel, and we're consistently putting more and more information in there. Credit tips. We're adding financing or mortgage processing tips. top tips for agents. And so this video, I'm recording it now. We're going to post that on YouTube. So that way you guys can watch it again later if you wanted to. So we're posting a lot of information on YouTube to where that information can be seen once people are starting to search out there. Gary V, one thing he talks about here in Crushing It is being the digital mayor of your town. And so, and really just pushing that information out. So I can't stress that enough because people do watch. So Dave Ramsey, he said, when getting help with money, whether it's insurance, real estate, or investments, you should always look for someone with the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman. And we all know salesmen. And I'm sure just like you on the real estate market, in the mortgage market, we get recruited all the time. And we get companies calling us all the time. And I can tell who's there to really help and who's there with a salesman attitude. And I'll tell you that on my side, somebody that's the heart of a teacher is somebody that I want to team up with, not a salesman. I'm just, when I go to buy a car, it'll take me a year sometimes to buy a car, and I'm going to look online first because I don't want to go and I don't want to be walking around the lot, and I don't want to have all these salesmen come up and talk to me, salespeople come up and talk to me. But I'm going to look online and I'm going to talk to friends, and I'm going to see cars out there, and then I'm going to talk to a broker, and then I'm going to again talk to friends and find out if any of my friends know anybody that works at the lot. And remember Kevin Bacon, the 6 degrees of separation. I mean, we all know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So chances are you can find somebody who works at that lot. And so I follow that process, and I don't want to be sold to, and nor do our clients. So 5 keys to better follow up on the lead. Really educate as you communicate. So if you're getting Zillow leads and Realtor.com leads and Sync leads and Boomtown leads and all of those things, come with a heart of education first. I think so many times we come with sales and we want to get their information. We already have that. They don't know that. But we want to sell. But instead, switch that dial and just educate them first. Segment your prospects into when they're looking to buy and how serious they are, and credit and that. Make it personal with them, and so get to know them a little bit. Keep it simple, and then repeat. And the reality is that consistency is key. So the more that we do this, the more that we communicate and make it personal, and the more that we do this consistently, the more those leads and those follow-ups are going to happen better for us. So there we go. We're going to transition now into the elements that make up the perfect listing presentation. And we do have some information on some listing presentations that you can use if you wish. We're more than happy to send those out to you. And again, you're the expert there. So these are just some ideas that I've researched and seen that may work and may help. So first thing is, of course, build instant rapport. A lot of times those listing presentations are, when you go to make them, there's somebody that was referred to you. So you're going to have that rapport. I know that whenever I get on the phone call with a client, when you've referred a client to us, I instantaneously start to talk to them about, their goals and their dreams and their plans, their family. But I try to find some little nugget of something that they're interested in and I'm interested in, so we can gain that rapport very, very quickly and very rapidly. So identify the seller's needs. And there's various ways to be able to do that. But find out what they need first, and then explain your company's or your team's or your value. So what is the value? And then communicate your personal value, and develop trust. Trust in today's market, I think, is more important than it ever has been. Absolutely ever has been. And so to gain that trust quickly with your client, and that's just being real with them, not being salesman-y, but be real, is important. Come on. Sorry, things are kind of freezing up a little bit. So build a rapport before you even get there. And we've got some tools that you can do that with. One thing that we have is a pre-listing cross-sell package that we send out. So, if you guys have somebody that you don't know, this is just a person that said, hey, I'm interviewing 3 different realtors, and they just called you. They weren't referred to you or anything like that. Give us a call. We can send out our pre-listing cross-sell package. It's a little booklet of information that, that's going to help educate the seller, but also it can be talking about what we can do to help that seller, along with you, work side by side as a team, as partners, to be able to help sell their house. And the reality is that not many lenders are doing this these days. So not many lenders are teaming up with realtors to be able to help them accomplish more selling, more listings. And we're here to be able to do that. So we can send that book out to you as well, so you have that information. So again, you're really identifying the seller's needs, answers, and resources. You guys know how to do that. So, and there's scripts that you can follow to be able to get there. But one thing that a lot of times a script that I'll follow with clients is, most people don't believe that, or most people believe that I'm in the business of doing loans. I don't see it that way. I see my primary role as to be able to help you integrate the loan that we select into your overall long and short-term financial goals and your payment and equity objectives. So with that in mind, help me understand what's most important about this home loan to you. So you can just ask, and have some verbiage of beforehand, but you can say what's most important about selling this home to you, and then just let them answer. Just be quiet and let them answer. They're going to tell you. They're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for. And some people still believe that their houses are worth 5, 10, $20 million, and maybe you can't help them. But there's people that are as you give them the right information, they're going to want to list with you. So 5 things really every seller wants to know. Again, in our research, they're looking specifically to know, they want to get their home sold. And in this market, it's not too hard to do that. You guys still have a tremendous amount of work to be able to do, and most people know that you put the house on the market and it's going to be sold pretty rapidly unless there's something wrong with it. But really walking through the plan that you have of how you're going to get their home sold, and then what are your backups? What if it doesn't sell? Because still homeowners are, some of them are worried, maybe my house won't sell. Remember that as they're going through escrow, the seller all the time is saying, what if the buyers back out? And the buyers the whole time are saying, what if the sellers back out? So there's a lot of uneasiness and emotions going on throughout that process. So, making sure that that they know this is the plan to get your home sold, and then here's our backup plans. I always have backup plans on loans. And so what if this doesn't work? We can pivot and do this. What if that doesn't work? We can pivot and do that. So always look at those backup plans and share those backup plans with your sellers, to sell it for the highest possible price. Of course, we all want the highest possible price, right? To sell it in the least amount of time. Want to sell in the least amount of time. To sell it without any hassles. And that's just making sure that you do your homework. And I mean, again, you guys are the experts in selling. You know what it takes to sell without any hassles. Part of that is the lender that they're working with, can help make that transition very smooth for the clients. So, and to make it conveniently, timed move. So again, you guys have a tremendous amount of work. You guys definitely earn your money there with following all of these aspects with the client, and helping them accomplish all these goals. So explain your company's value And that really is, what are the fundamentals of your company's marketing plan? How do you find qualified prospective purchasers? So, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute, because again, I think that we've got a game changer that not many people are really following. What is your company's ability to manage the overall process? So again, communicating your personal value, if you have any previous work experience or industry designations that separate you from other agents. So, what classes have you attended? What certifications do you have? If you've taken negotiation classes in the past, received certification for it, tell them about it. And so tell your sellers about it. If you've subscribed to services, to stay abreast of what's going on in the market. I just jotted down subscriptions that we're a part of. I've got a good 15 subscriptions, 12, 15 subscriptions that we're a part of as the Schultz team here, that are all things that help. So, and then building trust again is crucial. And I can't say that enough in this market. It's just building trust and being real, just being real, building your story and then sharing that story with people, has been huge for me. But making sure that people know who you are. Make sure that, one of our taglines for the Schultz team is, we make the mortgage process human again. And so it's just being real with people. So clients are very weary of misinformation. People are making integrity a new form of competitive advantage. More important than ever to build brand equity and differentiation, trust has become a precious commodity. So again, there's people that, they're gonna search on Google, and they're gonna know the things that have happened in the past. So look back at the things that you have on social media, the things that have been said about you out online as well, and just watch those things, know what those things are. So, and then how do we get homeowners to list instead of waiting until the spring? So how do we get homeowners to list now instead of waiting for the spring? Really builder confidence sets a record. It's the highest that it's ever been. So builders are trying to build homes. They just can't build them fast enough. They can't get land fast enough, specifically in our market. So the number one reason why not to wait is because the supply of listings will increase substantially entering this new year here, including construction, which could lower the demand for your house. So understanding that as we're building more homes, as more homes hit the market, historically, more homes hit the market in April, May, and June. So people are going to be in that time frame of April, May, and June of listing. But real estate's all geographical. And so trying to get their house in March, they may be able to get a higher price in March than if they waited till April, May, or June. Still are going to get a great price in April, May, and June, but understanding that, getting in there faster is always better. And so inventory levels here, again, I'm speaking to the choir here, but these are things you can share with your clients. Existing homes that were sold, you can see that we had a drop off here in April due to COVID, and then May and June it started picking back up again, and then stayed really steady throughout the rest of the year. So my data I had through June at this point, but we know that existing home sales have been strong. We know they dipped down in December a little bit and then started increasing back up. And then again, really, new home sales are up 83% over last year. So knowing, again, that those home sales are up, knowing that inventory is the driving factor, and knowing, I heard recently in our area that we had 3 weeks worth of inventory. I don't know if that's completely accurate or not, but we had 3 weeks worth of inventory, where just 6 months ago we had 1.3 months worth of inventory. Either way, 3 weeks, 1.3 months, that's not a lot of inventory. Typically, a good, healthy buyer seller market would be around 3 to 6 months worth of inventory. And we have much less than that. So as people are thinking about waiting, I always talk to them about, look, supply and demand. You've got a lot of people that have been living in apartments that are starting to want to purchase, on that. So I've got a light thing coming through there. So I'll move on over here. So this is me being real. But again, it's supply and demand. And so one thing that I wanted to show you here real quick is just as we talked about on building up YouTube channels and different things, building up social media, being relevant on social media. This is our YouTube channel, and we've been building it up here. Again, a lot of different content here, financing tips, credit tips. We're shooting on average around 3 to 5 videos a week, and then posting them on here. And so tips for agents, home buyer seminars. I've got a home buyer seminar tonight. And then as seen on TV, this is our CNBC shoots. And so just found out that we're going to be not only on CNBC once a month, but on Fox Business News, as well as Bloomberg TV as well. So pretty awesome there. But we've created this really in the last 2 months. And you can see we've got a lot of videos that we've shot, as you go and thumb through it. So just a lot of content. We're trying to push content to it as much as we can for a couple of reasons. One, as people are out there trying to find, whether they have a question as to, should I move to Salem? We want to have content about that. What restaurants are in Salem? We want content about that. How to source funds to close? We want content about that. Just a myriad of different things. But the other thing is that it makes it easier on our team if that content is there and there's questions that we have on a consistent basis. Our team can just send out the video to our clients and say, hey, check out this information here. So thank you for everybody for staying here. So again, the one thing really, that last little tidbit that I want to share with you that I think is the main deciding factor, that the main thing that I think can help to help you guys, and that is what I call the move up buyer analysis. And so I'm not sure where that light's coming from. Okay, anyway, so the move up buyer analysis. And as we look at the move up buyer analysis, so here's the deal. You know that a lot of your clients are refinancing, have refinanced, or may refinance. So I'm finding that more and more we talk a great show, and please, I'm not trying to offend anybody. So if you guys are doing this, awesome. But as I've coached loan officers throughout the nation, and some realtors throughout the nation, I find that we talk a great show. And what I mean by that is that one of the best ways to be able to generate listings is through people, and I'm just going to say it's who we know, who knows who we need to know. So who likes, knows, and trusts you? It's your past clients. And I find that so many times lenders, we are really bad with this. And I'm just going to say salespeople in general, we don't talk to our past clients, or we don't talk to our sphere, and we don't talk to them about who do we know, who knows who we need to know. So, who do we know who knows somebody that wants to list their house? Who do we know that may want to list their house? In the meantime, your clients and your friends, they're getting called from their current servicers on their mortgages, and they are being sold refinances. So I've just recently had 3 clients in the last 2 weeks that I've done mortgage reviews with, that I'm not going to say who the servicers are, but the servicer was selling a refinance to these 3 clients And when I started talking to the clients, my first question is, do you love your house? Do you love your neighborhood? And is your house working for you? And so with that, the servicers are not asking those questions. The servicer just says, hey, do you want to save $200 a month? Well, who doesn't want to save $200 a month? But they're not asking those questions to go a little deeper with your clients to know, does refinancing make sense? Because the reality is that sometimes it just does not make sense. To be truthful, a lot of times it does not make sense. If that client is not going to be there minimum 3 years, minimum, at least 5 years, it doesn't make sense most of the time to refinance unless you can do a no cost refinance and take them maybe from 4% down to 3.25% with no fees. And we've taken some clients and done that with, so they can save some money, but they're not saving as much and they're not getting way down in the twos, but they're also not paying all the closing cost fees because they don't know how long they're going to be in the house. So structuring that mortgage to them makes the most sense. And that's why you'll always hear me talk about the structure of the mortgage is more important than the interest rate. So you'll hear me talk about that a lot. So let me show you here. Let me show with you a total cost analysis that we'll go through with a client from time to time. And again, this is things that clients a lot of times they just don't understand. They don't see it. They don't get it yet. But it's up to us to educate, to get that information out to them. So this is a client here that that was looking at, that their house is worth $375. They currently are able to work from home, and they enjoy working from home. Their employer allows them to work from home, husband and wife. But that means that ultimately one of them at least needs another room in the house. And so, they really need an office. They need something to be able to get away from the family as they're working and whatnot, and have a little more of a confined, quiet area. And so, and this is, a lot of employers are allowing this these days to be able to work from home. In fact, today, my whole team, because our internet was out up until late last night, our whole team's working from home. So more and more people are working from home. So, but here, this is, $375. We could refinance them and save them $322 a month. It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, yep, that's awesome. We drop them from 2.625 down to 2.875. That makes a ton of difference, $322 a month. And I can sell that. I mean, as a salesperson, I can sell that. Hey, do you want to save $322 a month? It takes this long to recoup your cost, and let's rock and roll. You skip a month's payments and that. But is that being honest? And so, because we haven't really established, does this client, should they refinance? So as you start to go through and ask the questions, do you love your house? Do you love your neighborhood? And is your house still working for you? Which is kind of a weird question, right? Is your house still working for you? You start to uncover at that point, well, no, my house isn't working for me. I really need I need an office in my house. And so at that time, we start to look at, okay, what would that look like? Well, it'll probably be around $450 purchase price. And at $450 to 2.875 rate, the payment goes up by $623 a month. So do you want to pay another $623 a month? That is with 5% down. And so if they kept their current house, had their down payment moved, which this client did. And so, they had 5% down and they could do that on the other house. So, their payment would be $623 more per month in that scenario. And this is just principal and interest. This does not include any taxes or insurance, by the way. And so we then looked at, what do you do with that extra $120,000 that you didn't put down on your house? Because they would have had considerable amount more money to put down on their house. Could they take that and could they invest that over time? And if they did, I'm sorry, it's 97.5. And so if they took that 97.5 and invested it, what would that look like over time? And the reality is that over 30 years, their net worth would be roughly $2.3 million. And they would be able to take that 97.5 and it would increase in value at roughly $435,000 over that period of time. So is that the most wise investment for them? Or do they, as soon as they sell their house, do we set them up with the right servicer that allows a one-time payment and recalculation of their mortgage payment to where they don't have to refinance? But do we set them up with the right servicer, making sure that they can just put that money in, do a recalculation of their note, sign a new note and a payment? And indeed, with these rates right now, their payment then for a $450,000 house becomes, really $83 less than what they're paying now. So is that the right strategy for them, where they take all the equity and put it down in their new house after they've sold their house? So instead of bridge loans or something like that, this is a different path. But these are the scenarios that we can go through with your client. It all starts with a phone call from you guys. And I think that's the biggest mistake that a lot of us are making these days is, we're so busy, we don't have time to contact our past clients. And our past clients are consistently getting, and I'm just going to say, they're getting hammered from their servicers to refinance, to put them into a new loan. And their servicers, they don't care. They're just saving them money. And so they don't care what their long-term strategies are. But this is one that we can employ, we can work with you guys on as you talk to your clients. Say, hey, why don't you get a mortgage review from the Schultz team? Or if your current lender does this, then have your current lender do it. But team up with a partner to be able to do a mortgage review for your clients to see, does a refinance make sense? And if a refinance does make sense, then that's fine. But more importantly, does their house make sense for them? Because that's a big thing. Does their house make sense for them? So I do want to just tell you, finish on a couple quick things that I just learned yesterday. So interest rates have been going up over the last week. And so we've got pretty hammered in the market over the last week. We've lost about 1/4 to 0.3% in interest rate just over the last week alone. And there's been a lot of different reasons for that. The main driving reason for that is that the vaccinations are doing really well, and there's starting to be kind of a euphoria in the market. You can see that and you can hear that on, things like, I posted on Facebook yesterday that, and actually it was Joe Kennedy I found out that said this, but he said, when the shoe shine boy starts to give you stock advice, it's time to pull out of the market. And here we've got friends, we've got our kids, their friends are giving stock advice. I came home the other night and my wife's like, have you heard about Bitcoin? And, I think I'm going to invest in some. And so on cryptocurrency, my wife is an author. I mean, New York Times bestselling author. She doesn't know anything about investing. And so she's looking at Bitcoin, and she's awesome. She can figure that out. But the shoe shine boy is starting to give advice. The other thing is that, Warren Buffett said, and I'm going to mess this one up, but ultimately, when there's greed in the streets, it's time to be fearful. And we're seeing a lot of greed out there right now. We're seeing a lot of greed in the markets and that. We're seeing the market starting to be really overbought. We're seeing, the Fed right now is buying mortgage-backed securities to keep our rates low at historic rates. They're publishing that they're buying them at about $40 billion a month right now to keep our rates low, to keep the economy really running. But I've also seen reports that it's really about 100 billion a month that they're buying. So, and they're starting to sell off some of those mortgage-backed securities and then repurchasing some as they have time limits and they need to start doing that. So the thing is that with the reason why I share all that with you is because it looks like we're starting to head back into a recession, a technical recession again. which could hit 2022, 2023. So that means really rates with the Fed buying mortgage-backed securities, even though we have rates going up a little bit right now, rates are going to stay low for quite some time. We're going to be in an interest rate environment that's going to have low rates for some time, inventory issues for some time, 33-year-olds hitting the market more in the last 6 years than ever have been. So with all of these things, we would love to help your clients, help them get off the fence, list their house, buy another house, list their house, buy a smaller house, whatever it may be. We're to be able to help you. And I know Tracy's there to help you with escrows. So thanks all for coming. And Tracy, thanks for hosting this and for having us.
And thanks everyone for showing up. Yeah, I would love to help you with your escrows. So yeah, I did close out your class, so you should be getting a certificate in your email probably within the next hour. If you don't, for some reason, give me a call and we'll make sure that we've got the right contact info for you. So thanks, Walt.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.